Hello, today
Howdy.
we will be evaluating functions. I will close my book now. Alright. When you evaluate a function, they might say, here's a function, and this, which means where x was, because there's an x right there next to the f, we are going to replace said x with said number and then work it out. So 2x minus 10 is the function. I want you to find f at 5. Some people might say f of x. I prefer f at 5 because when x is 5, that's where we're at on a graph. So at 5 makes more sense to this guy. And remember, I'm pickle Rick. I do what I want. So, when you see this, it means replace x with that number. Okay? So, that's what I said here. So at f of 5, we're going to calculate by replacing it. See red. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 minus 10 is 0. So, f at 5 is equal to 0. And we can view that as a point. So when x is 5, remember quadrants or ordered pairs are made up of x and y. We get 5 is equal to 0. Yeah, that's what I say.
Next slide. Ooh, now we got a table we're supposed to fill in. Over here on our left, we got hours H, and on the right, we've got total pay P. So it says, whatever this is charging $25 per hour. It gives us f at x equals 25x, so there's our function. And then it's also written as P of H equals 25H, or $25 per hour. Anytime you see that per, that's when you know the number is going to be right beside that variable. So, all we're supposed to do is just plug in our numbers for H, or the number of hours we work, to figure out how much we're going to be paid. So, if we work 0 hours, right, plug in 0. Obviously, if we work 0 hours, 0 pay, right? If we work 1 hour, well, that means we're plugging in 1 for our x, or our h. So 1 hour, 1 times 25, total pay is 25, right? If we work 2 hours, well, we're going to plug in 2 at x, or 2 for the h. 2 times 25, you guys know this, that'd be $50 in 2 hours. Well, if we work 3 hours, we probably can see our pattern here. 3 hours, 3 times 25, well, that's 75, right? We'll say now we're going to work 5 hours, right? So if we plugged in a 5, I know I skipped 4, but if we plug in 5, that is 125. Again, all I'm doing is taking my function and I'm plugging in. In this case, I plugged in a 5. 25 times 5 would be 125, right? I could plug in 8. If I worked 8 hours, an 8-hour workday, making $25 an hour. Well, 25 times 8 would be $200, right? All I did was take my hours, plugged it into my given function, 25 times whatever my hours was, found my total pay.
Good job, Coach Ramsey. Good job. I give him applause, but I'll give him that grade. Next slide. Here we're going to practice evaluating more functions. So if you want to go ahead and do it, do it. I can't stop you. So f at 2, I'm going to put 2 right here. Go parentheses 2 minus 10. We use parentheses because when you're typing it in on a calculator, sometimes if you have like negative numbers and you don't use parentheses in certain situations, it will give you the wrong answer. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 10 is negative 2. So, when x is 2, the y value is negative 2. So it's like a point. And I don't know if we can see that.
There we can see it.
At x is 2, the y value is negative 2. Your turn, sir.
I'll do the other side. So over here on the right, we've got g at 7 equals 5x plus 3. So we're going to plug in this 7 here for my x, right? So 5 times 7, and then a plus 3. Well, 5 times 7 is 35. Plus 3 more is 38. So when x is at 7, we are at 38. Right? You can see that. When x is at 7, we're at 38 for our y. We evaluated the function.
Good job, our guy. All right, this next one, do the head up, see if you can. He's going to show you something new. I'm just going to show you some more here.
You know, it's kind of not fair. We can't pause them, but they can pause us.
You can catch me mid-yanking and catch me. That's ridiculous. 3 for x. That's going to make 12 minus 10. So I would write this as at x, we're at 2. So when x is 3, we're at 2. 9. So here it's going to be negative whatever x is. So that's like a negative 9 plus 1. So at 9, we're at negative 8. Take the negative 2. So here's where those parentheses kind of come in handy.
Be careful.
Negative times negative is a positively awesome answer.
I'm positive it's positive.
10 equals negative 2. So when x is a negative 2, its y value is a negative 2.
Ooh.
Now it's up to you.
All right, look up here, guys. So we got something that looks a little bit different, maybe a little bit more detail here. It says find f of g of 3. All right, we got 2 letters up there. And it gives us 2 functions. F of x equals 2x plus 5, and then g of x equals 10x. So really, to solve these, you just go in the order of how it's given to you. Right? So it's saying plug in 3 for my g function, or my g of x. Right? So when x is at 3 for my g of x, well, let's just plug in 3 here. I think you guys know that. 10 times 3 is 30. So I've got 30 for my g of x. So now, change colors, I'm going to take my 30 that I just found and plug that in for my f of x. So now we're going to plug in 30 for this x. So 2 times 30 plus 5, right? So 2 times 30 is 60 plus a 5. So that's going to equal 65, right? So when we're finding f of g of 3, we're going to get 65, right? We had to do that by plugging it in for g of x, then getting an answer, plugging it in for f of x, right?
All right. A few left. Try it on your own.
Pause, and you guys have had enough time. So we'll start with the top one. We're supposed to plug in negative 2 into this over here. There's multiple x's, so what does that mean? Well, we've got to plug in negative 2 to each of these spots where we see an x. I know there's fractions, there's a square root symbol, there's exponents. Don't let it freak you out. We're just going to evaluate this function, right? So, I'm kind of taking a step down here. If you guys were going to type this into your calculator, you'd make your square root, right? And then inside that square root, we'll have a negative 2 raised to the 4th power minus a negative 2 squared, and then plus 1/6 times a negative 2. You could say negative 2 over 1 if you want to. Right? So let's take it a step further down. Equals square root. Let's go blue again this time. So negative 2 raised to the 4th power. If you didn't know that off the top of your head, that's perfectly fine. But what we're saying is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. And that's going to give you a positive 16. And then minus negative 2 squared, or negative 2 times negative 2. Which hopefully you guys know is 4. So 16 minus 4. And then plus, we're multiplying a fraction over here. So we're just going to multiply straight across. 1 times negative 2, I'll show you up here, would be negative 2 over 6 times 1 is 6. That fraction could reduce to, I'll put it over here, hopefully you can see, a negative 1/3. Yeah, you guys can see that. Right? So here, I've got 16 minus 4 plus a negative 1/3 or just minus 1/3. Let's condense it just a little bit more. I'm going to write it over here. So 16 minus 4 is 12, and then 12 minus a 1/3, right?
11 and 2/3.
So that'd be 11 and 2/3. That's what's underneath my radical, right? So if we wanted to put this in coordinate form, when x is at -2, we'll go here. When x is at -2, our y value is at the square root of, sorry if you didn't hear me, the square root of 11 and 2/3. Right? Yes, that would be a decimal answer. You could find the exact decimal answer if you wanted to use your calculator. Right? Uh-oh, got another announcement.
Teachers, I want to remind you that if you have any
All right.
remote students who are receiving
I'm
the
not a
packets,
remote. My students are making
today
a
was
remote.
a good day to
so
get
I'm not
those
listening.
finished because we get those
Did
out
it
again
awesome.
on
That was
Monday
a good
morning.
one.
Remember, you
Very
are
long.
put those in those
This
nice
makes you
round
appreciate a
envelopes with your
calculator.
student's name, the subject, your name
So
on the outside.
our subject is still
envelope,
evaluating
and
functions.
Place the envelopes in the appropriate
I don't have
box down in
envelope.
the teacher
I have
workroom.
math.
Got the alphabet broken down.
So we're taking
Please
negative
put it in
1,
there in the box in which it
put it
belongs.
here,
It's easier for us to
and
distribute those on Monday.
here, and here.
It's also a good time. Remember, you need to
So,
be making contact with
I'm
your
gonna
kids
rewrite it
on a
up
regular
here.
basis. So those kids that you had on Monday and Tuesday, today would be a good day to send them a
Fifth.
remind message, or give them a call, or have a Google meeting,
3
or
times
something like that to touch base with
one
those kids that you
times
haven't seen in several days. So
minus
please keep
4
those things in
times
mind. And remember, we
negative
do need those packets that are going out to the remote students doing packets. We need those in the box
19 times
before you
negative
leave
1.
today. Thank you.
So now this is how you would type it in your calculator if you wanted to definitely get it right. But you can work stuff out as you want in your head and just type in what you need. I'm going to work out everything that has an exponent. A -1 times a -1 times a -1 times, if it's even, it's going to be positive. If it's an odd power, it's going to be a negative, so it's a -1. This is an even power, so it's going to be a positive 1 times 3. So we got -2 times, I'm going to work some of this out, that's going to become a 3, plus 4, which makes 7. So there's your inside parentheses. Minus that times that, so that would be plus 19. So now we multiply here in the middle before we do any other stuff. So -1
We're following our order of operations.
minus 14 plus 19 will get us quattro. Not cinco, but quattro. That problem's done. Moving on.
Nice.
Okay, do it. We'll tell you the answer.
Click.
Okay.
So
got the
hopefully
top-
you guys
the
type
bottom.
that one in. Type that one in. So if you plugged in -2 and then squared it, you're going to get 4. And then it's going to be plus a -6 or just -6. And then minus a 2. So hopefully you got -4. And of course, in coordinate form, -2, -4. Sorry, kind of hard to do.
So we'll put our final answer over here in coordinate form. Oh boy, this is going to be a little bit more elaborate. 4, then 1, 2, 3, 4. Minus 3 times, and we're going to have 3 zeros, 3,000, plus 10. So I'm going to go ahead and change that to 10. So I need to subtract that, and then divide it by 5. So 40,000 minus 3,010 should be 36,990. And then timesing by 1/5 is the same thing as dividing by 5, and I'm not happy to do that right now. Minus 20 plus 4 makes 16. So whatever this number is, then we're going to subtract 16 from it. Oh boy, I got to do some division. We're going to do it by hand. I don't want to, but I'm going to. I hope you're going to want to or something like that song says. Hope you're going to want to. It's a number.
It's 7,398
Look at him with his fancy calculator.
if I carry the one. Yeah.
I don't believe it. It might be right though. That's a 3.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a 49, which makes that a 9. Then I'm going to get a 40, which is an 8.
There we go.
Exactly what I said. And then the screen went black, so I hope we didn't stop recording. Hey, there we go. We're good. All right. You got bored too, computer, from us doing it by hand? So that's the number that goes right here, minus 16.
7,300.
That's right, our answer over here. And at 10, it is 7,000. I'm not going to put that there. 382.
Two.
So
Nice.
if you're graphing this, you're probably going to want a big graph. or
Maybe
a
go by
scale.
twos. Just kidding.
Twos.
Maybe go by like
thousands.
thousands.
Alright, that's evaluating. Here's one.
Which of the following function maps 3 to -5? So I know the vocabulary is a little bit different here, but maps is basically saying which one shows or which one, is giving us the example to where if we plug in 3 for x, we get a -5. Right? So if we plugged in 3 to the first one, 3 for x, 3 plus 8 is 11. So, definitely not the top one. Right? If we plugged in a 3 here to the x, 3 minus 5 is -2. So, not going to be working there. If we plug in a positive 3 again here, so that becomes -3 plus 2, not giving us -5, right? And then the bottom one here, if it's 3 squared, right? And again, it's the minus sign's over here. So 3 squared is 9. So 4 minus 9. Ding, ding, ding. I think we have a winner. That is -5. So this is going to be the choice that maps 3 to -5.
Toe touch frenzy. Woo.
Thanks.
Final one. Ha, tricked you. There's no more. If you were looking up there, we're done. Out.
Deuces.